I'm really excited to be here today at the British Safety Council event discussing being well in a changing world.
We want to ensure today that we've got the views of employers, that those views are understood and represented in the work that we're doing in this space. The reason why we're here today, and it makes my heart sing, is to talk about the future of wellbeing in the workplace and discussing really important key aspects of what that means.
Although it is a challenge, I do welcome it as a health and safety professional because I think it is best placed on our shoulders, and I think the industry recognise that. We are well rehearsed in that already and can work with organisations to put those right measures in place and have the right conversations with senior stakeholders.
Wellbeing is definitely a problem in the industry still, and you speak to any C-suite and you'll realise that it's a problem that people don't know how to solve, which is causing an even greater issue because it's not being properly managed.
It doesn't eradicate a problem if you don't seek the data to confirm what that problem is. The problem is still there. So actually we need to almost push companies to take that initial step to identify the problem space with the knowledge that absolutely they have an obligation to then address the problem.
I was absolutely blown away and humbled by the participation from our panel today that represented the charity sector, the public sector and the private sector, as well as Rebecca from the Institute of Occupational Medicine, who really helped us understand some of the research and the science behind what we're trying to achieve.
Roughly 72% of the academic papers that we looked at had no consistent definition of work-related well-being, which obviously presents its own challenges, and indeed much of the academic literature also had very little theoretical grounding and underpinning. Really interesting panel to be a part of, and it's great to have representation from the various sectors within industry, along with obviously myself discussing things from a research perspective. Individuals within their organisation who spoke to us about what they were doing with regards to worker well-being themselves struggled to define what well-being meant to them within their organisations.
I think measuring is still something that needs to be thought about, which is why having a definition and some measures to be going along with to start off with really help. As I think I pointed out within the discussion itself, there is a lot of complexity going forward just in the context of where we are societally, politically.
It does take generations for employers, organisations to shift from that, no, when you're at work, and when you're at home, you're at home. And that has changed hugely since the pandemic and the move to hybrid working. So how do you include that in the definition in a way that employers and organisations are going to engage with?
I am here because I work for public health at Warwickshire County Council, and my role is around workplace wellbeing, but particularly around the life course.
The issues that we've got with young people coming out of education and going into workplaces and their expectations around, you know, what is the well-being, what does it look like when they're in schools, what does it look like in universities, and then their expectation of what does the workplace look like. So I think having that definition and having it flow actually all the way through somebody's life course would be amazing.
For so many years now there's been discussions around what workplace wellbeing is, what it should look like, and you know, we've talked a lot around that fluffiness. So I think that we're all singing from the same song sheet is a real positive.
So fantastic to talk about case studies and the difficulties or the issues facing one organisation may be the same, and that they can support each other to move things forward. And I think that sort of peer support is really, really important.
Something that we identified through the study that was really lacking. There was very little evidence of organisations sort of knowledge sharing practices, both good and bad experiences, and how they've managed those.
I call it the inception piece, really. You're planting that seed into the C-suite to say, is this a problem in our organisation? Yes or no? If it is, what are we going to do about it? And it's sessions like this that allow that information to be shared across a larger audience.
Let's identify the problem first, measure it, and then, as you've rightly said, when we've taken that objective look to say, okay, we now know actually what factors affected, these are the measures then we're going to agree on, and let's actually put some KPIs around them to actually show that commitment and to then carry on regularly sharing what's going well and what isn't going so well.
I think it's great that the British Safety Council are running a roundtable event like this and really trying to get industry and research institutions alike thinking about the wellbeing agenda.
I've just had a conversation with someone who says, actually, I'm going to go away from this feeling a little bit differently to how I felt about trying to create a definition for wellbeing in the workplace. And that's all through discourse.
Jigna was amazing at asking the questions and keeping us all on time. And pulling, she really did look at the answers we were giving and then being able to move that into the next question successfully. So yeah, it flowed really well.
I think it's lovely bringing together people from different industries, and we talked about that in the panel itself, about how industries that you wouldn't necessarily put together can share commonality and share ideas and find out that we're dealing with the same issues.
We had, for example, some nurses and some construction workers on the same table talking about the issues that they were facing doing 12-hour shifts, not being able to go off and have flexibility to go to parents' evenings, for example. And it was really good though, that you had completely different industries talking about the same problem.
Hugely important that British Safety Council continue to bring people together and continue these conversations.
And I'm really, really pleased that the British Safety Council is at the forefront of creating these forums. I am very optimistic about the future of wellbeing in the workplace, not least because of the work that the British Safety Council is doing and the privilege we have of meeting organisations that are really embracing this and being the forerunners and wanting to share the good practice and the learning that they've got with other organisations, both within and outside of their industries and sectors.